Hi everyone, this is Computer Science and IT teacher Ahmet Akarsu from 19 Mayıs TMK. Here is another quick and short revision video about Excel, but this time including a detailed explanation and examples about how to use the dollar sign in Excel. So let's get started. As you know, in every worksheet there are columns named with letters like column C, column A, also rows like row 3, row 5, and the intersection of rows and columns have boxes which we call cells. For example, this cell is C5. So first we say the letter and then we say the number. For example, this one is cell F1 or E7. Also, if we want to talk about more than one cell, we call it a range. For example, here is a cell range B2 to B6. So the first one is B2, the last one is B6. For example, the range that I selected here is from D4 to E6. When we write formulas and when we have functions, sometimes we have to write the cell name or the cell range. Therefore, we have to be careful about how to write these names. Now, as you know, in Excel we can write numbers into cells. We can also write some text if we want. And in addition to that, we can write formulas. So the first thing to write when we want to write a formula is the equal sign. If we don't put equal sign, and for example, if we write D9, it is any text for Excel. But if we write equal D9, in this case, it will check the value in this cell and it will write it. If we say D9 plus 5, for example, then it will check the value, which is 3. It will add 5 to it and it will become 8. So equal symbol is important to be put in the beginning of the formula. We can write formulas to make addition, for example, to add 5 and 3. We write L1 and L2 because we want to check the value in L1 and value in L2. If we want to subtract, we can put minus sign, or for multiplication, we use asterisk. For division, we use this slash symbol in Excel. If we want to take power, we use this caret symbol. For example, 5 to the power 3, which means 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. Now, let me show you the functions. In formulas, we can use functions as well. We have seen many of them before. So, for example, if we want to find the maximum of a range of numbers given in this range, we can use the max function. This function will check from H1 to I4 and it will find the maximum of these values, which is 9. Similarly, minimum will find the smallest, sum will find the total of them, average will find the average, countif will look at the same range, but it will only count the values which are above 4. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, we can use countif to count some specific value. For example, we can count apple, the word apple in this range from B1 to B10, it will find 2. If we want to count everything without taking into consideration if it is number or text, everything except empty boxes, we can use count A, which is count all. So it says 15. If we want to count only numbers, we can say count. It will count these numbers and it will tell us it is 10. So this is almost all about functions. We have one more function to remember, which is the if function. For example, there are products and they have their old prices. I want to check if it is expensive or cheap. If it is above 50, I will say expensive. Otherwise, I will say cheap. For this, you know that we write such a function. If it has three parts. In the first part, it checks a cell, not a range of cells. If function checks only one cell. And in this example, we want to check if this value is above 50. If it is true, we want it to write expensive. Otherwise, if it is not true, we want it to write cheap. It works in this way. Now, for the other products, we have to copy this formula so that we will not have to write the same formula again and again. So we copy from the corner, and it checks, okay, this is above 50, this is above 50, these are expensive, but the others are cheap. What happens when we copy is that Excel automatically shifts the cells. For example, the formula that we wrote checked this cell, the price for biscuit, but when we copied, it checked the price for döner, and the other formula checked the price for ayran. Because we wrote B2, when we copy it became B3, B4, B5, which is something very useful and very helpful. But there are some situations which we don't want the formula to shift the cell values, I mean the cell names. For example, there will be increase in the prices, and the price of each product will be increased by 5. So we need to write a formula which will add this value to each product's price. What do? We write equal all price plus the increase. Okay, it will be 35, which is true. But what happens when we copy this formula? As you see, we get incorrect results. Döner stayed 70, ayran became 90, water and hamburger stayed the same. But why is this? Let's check the formula. The formula looks at B9, but when we copy, because it is shifted, it checks B10. Here we don't have any value, so it is 0. So 70 plus 0 stays 70. But this one is shifted even more. It adds 80. This one, it adds 0. So what we want is to keep this increase value fixed. Therefore, in our formula, we should lock the row number. Therefore, B9 will stay as B9. It will not become B10 or B11. So I have to lock 9 by putting a dollar sign in front of it. Now, let me erase this. I will copy the formula again, and as you will see, this time the correct values will be calculated. Why? Because B9 stayed as B9. What about the other, B4? It moves. B5, it moves down, which is what we wanted, but we wanted B9 to be fixed. Let me make one more example. This time, let me calculate the new status. If the price is above this, I will call it expensive. If not, I will call it cheap. So I have to write if. I will check the new price. When I copy, I want it to move down. Therefore, I will not lock it. If D2 is above this value, when I copy, I don't want this value to move. I will go down. It will become 12, 13. I mean, the row number will increase. I don't want it to increase, so I lock it. Then, if this is true, I want it to say expensive. Otherwise, I want it to say cheap. Here is my formula. Now I copy, and I see that the only expensive product is hamburger, because only this one is above 80. We can check to see that it didn't move. It stayed B11. Okay, now final example about this absolute reference symbol, the dollar symbol. I want to count how many people got A, how many people got B, C, D, E, F, etc. Now, I will check these results and I will count how many A's there are. So I have to use COUNTIF. Because it is formula, I write equal. I say count if. Now I have to look at the range. The range is from A2 to A14. When I copy it, I don't want it to be shifted. I want it to continue looking at the same area. I don't want rows to increase. Therefore, I lock the rows. I lock 2 and 14 so that it will stay the same. Now I show the range. Then I have to write the criteria. The criteria is this value. I want it to count A. And when I copy it, I want it to count B, C, D, E, F. So I will not lock this. I will not put dollar sign here. Now, this is my